indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present.
Councilmember Behrman,
Here.
Councilmember Gotcho, Councilmember Brendan Fox,
Here.
Councilmember Sharp,
Present.
Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda tonight as presented? City Manager?
Mayor, do not have any changes or additions.
All right, I have one. Under new business number 1, I would like to add the reappointment of Joan Roberts to the Senior Citizens Commission. Since the completion of the report in the packet, she has confirmed that she will accept another 3-year term. So her term will expire on June 30th, 2025. Do we have any other? Very good. Approval of minutes. We've got one set of minutes to approve tonight. It's from the regular City Council meeting of June 14th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting of June 14th, 2022. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We have no correspondence tonight, which moves us to the first call to the public. The rules to the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during a call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence, and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? No.
My name is Chad Zandler. I represent Century Condo Association, Century Industrial Park. We simply wanted to thank you guys for earmarking money for Century Industrial Park road repairs. And we've taken the road very seriously, as well as the park. And I represent some of the owners as well as the condo association. And we simply, once again, want to just thank City Council and the City of Wixom.
Thank you.
My understanding is that someone will be walking the park this Thursday. From this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we just appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for the first call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close that. First call to the public and move on to city managers' reports. We have 2 reports tonight. The first one is departmental reports, May 2022. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Grillen Fox?
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Benson regarding the economic development report. 2 questions. The first one is regarding the airline trail. Can you give us an update on what's going on with that? I know a bunch of us were talking, and we were talking about how it just went gangbusters at first, and then it kind of slowed down. What the status is of the left turn out here at Wixom-Pontiac Trail, just maybe a brief update of your work, Mr. Sigmund.
Tim may be better positioned to talk about the specifics of the steps. I can give you, from an overview perspective, they expect to have substantial construction done by the end of the summer, complete construction by November. But for specific phasing, that has changed. It changes a little bit as we go, so Tim may speak to that better.
Thank you. Yes, Drew is correct that it is supposed to go through the end of the summer. We're hoping August is the plan right now, primarily for the detours that we're doing. We're really concentrating downtown just to make it look good. Right now, this week, they are doing all the electrical light poles and putting down tubes for those light poles that we have that we'll be replacing. Actually, we're using the same light poles for that. There's some changes that we had to do for the electrical conduits that go to those poles. So there was some cutting that folks had noticed, and that's changed a little bit. There's some irrigation that will be replaced, and utilized again in the future for the trees that we plan to grow. They installed, they call them Sitka forms or plastic barriers for the trees. So that took a little longer because we haven't done those before, but that's supposed to ensure that the roots for those trees grow downward instead of up and floating the concrete and those kind of things. And yeah, we had a issue last week with the water main. We moved a fire hydrant out of the work zone so that we can utilize it later. That took some time. And yeah, there's just a few things that are still taking place, but they are planning to do more of the asphalt work next week from Pontiac, or from where we stopped at our outer limits to Old Plank Road. So we should have something that's passable, if you will, very soon.
Great, thank you for the update. And then my other question was regarding the Economic Development Marketing and Branding Initiative. Can you just kind of give a little update on what's going on with that or next steps?
Yeah, so we had an initial meeting with the group of volunteers who offered to participate in this to really go over the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the city of Wixom from an economic development perspective and how we look at kind of positioning ourselves from a marketing perspective. So right now, CIB Planning's marketing team, and they actually have specific team members who specialize in this. We're sort of taking that all together and trying to come up with some concepts that they will then bring back to the committee for just discussion to go over, okay, how do we feel about, positioning this way or that way, or talking about different topics. So then the committee will have the opportunity to provide, more feedback to refine that better. We would then have a third meeting, likely sometime in August. The final sort of presentation to City Council, or even further public engagement, would be a little bit after that. Right now, we are still early in the crafting stages, and there's a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes work that CIB is doing to package that in a way so that we can make the most out of those meetings that we have.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yeah, three quick ones here. Also on the economic development report, there was mention that a meeting was held with DTE to determine the rough cost for burying all the electrical lines downtown. You didn't put a dollar figure in there. You said it was very exorbitant, but
I didn't want to write it.
What was the ballpark?
If we wanted to bury all of the power lines, including around the Wixom Market, the BP gas station, up to Renton, that doesn't include up to where the townhouses begin. All of that in the middle, they estimate at roughly $8 million.
That's why
Yes, there are sections, when we had that discussion, we asked them to sort of phase it out into sections that we thought were in an order of priority. So there's a section, as an example, across the street in front of Wixom Liquor and PNC. That's a relatively small area, maybe easier to accomplish. That's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars as opposed to the millions. When you get into the thicker lines, bigger poles, more lines on them, it gets more expensive. There's just more to do. So one other thing, just to, we pull that idea from, that's within the DDA plan that we've had since 2003. Now that we're in a better position to at least consider projects like that, and as the DDA talks more about streetscape initiatives, we're doing budgeted to do a section along the south side of Pontiac Trail in front of the Heath Building, Clevo buildings. We thought that was an opportune time to, let's find out what it does cost these days. So that was.
There are other impacts as well with the businesses in the area. If some of that gets pursued, they would have to change the connection from exterior top of the building to underground to align with that, which is substantial expense for businesses as well. There's a lot of factors in play there.
Very, very preliminary discussion, but we at least wanted to have a figure of what we're talking about.
Right. It's a big ballpark.
And maybe just comment on your report as well. It's great to see we have a tenant sign up for Building A, which is 742,000 square feet in the Assembly Park. That's great.
Single tenant, too.
Single tenant. Super. On the DPW report, I know there's a lot of, summer type grass cutting and mill maintenance, stuff like that, but I know last week I got approached by a number of residents regarding the encroachment of the weeds and growth onto the Michigan Airline Trail Phase 1. And I wasn't sure if equipment broke down because we had bought a special piece of equipment. And I know you had mentioned that you just haven't gotten to it yet because of light of the night and all, but
Yes.
is it in the plan?
So we did get out there actually today for a time, and I haven't had a chance to look at it, but we used that sickle down between Wixom Road and Beck Road as a trial, and we used a hand blower as we walked behind the sickle to push it off the road. So I'm
I saw
hoping
the
that it-
small section by Wixom Road.
Yeah.
Now, because it was so long for
Right.
the cut,
Yep.
now there's a lot of dead.
There will be
grasses.
some dead grasses there, yes, and that's part of the maintenance issues that we'll see. Now, we can, moving forward, maybe utilize some vegetation, some kind of vegetation killer or something.
Or frequency of cutting,
Frequency.
rather than do it once a year. Maybe
Yeah,
do it more
yep,
often.
that may pose additional problems on the staffing that we have currently, but yes, there is that
Next year, we should
opportunity.
consider, we have to contract it out with, because there's certain areas where it's over a quarter, maybe even a third grown in.
Take a look and see how it looks, and yeah, I'd like your feedback.
All right, very good. And my last one is on the planning commission report, 2970 Wixom Road, the used car dealership. I noticed that property, I know the site plans are still being revised, still talking with the developer and all, but it's starting to look pretty run down, that property.
It is. You're not the only one that's noticed that. I'll have to double check whether we have any outstanding code enforcement on that. If not, we should, and I will make sure that we do. Regardless of whether they're waiting for approvals or going through that process, which they are. I think they've had to do revisions before we can take them to planning commission. They do need to maintain that property.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and just on a side note, with, Tim, what do we usually get for seasonal employees? How many seasonal employees do we normally have? And we have, what, 3 this year?
Yeah,
So-
we have 4 this year. We typically have 6.
Yeah, so we may just have to contract that out next year because we won't have the manpower to do it, so.
Right now, too, we're down to full-time employees. We have 1 position open, and we have 1 out on medical.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
Councilmember Gotcho?
Thank you. I also had in my notes to ask about DTE. You had mentioned that the estimate that you were given didn't include in front of the townhouses along Wixom, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was an area that I had actually spoken
Right.
to Steve about before, so.
Yeah, we had that wrapped up just before I got that
Yeah,
question for you.
it'd be interesting to see the
Yeah.
breakdown of everything and a plan, because that's definitely something that doesn't look great. And one of the other things I had mentioned a while ago was what people refer to as the gateway to our city, down at Wixom and 96 too. All along there is power lines, so it's kind of, they clutter everything up. So if we can make the investment, that would help, probably help with power outages too, you think. Regarding the water report, if we can, just a quick note, not really a question. I had mentioned before, because I had asked for the call logs about things, and to me, it's like the water quality, if we have people call about water quality or a hazard or something like that, it seems like the vast majority is like, why is my bill so high? How do I pay my bill? Did you get my payment? So I don't know that we need those.
You would prefer to see more of the water quality?
If
sort
there
of-
are any, yes. I
You
know
would
in
like
the
to have it
past-
filtered out?
Yeah, I know in the past we've had somebody say, like, years ago, they had a comment about bubbly water or loss of pressure, that kind of stuff versus billing related.
We can get that tweaked for you for
Okay.
the next one. We'd be
Thank
happy
you.
to.
Thanks.
I'll go down to Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While you're there, Ruben, just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
You know, when I was a new council member, every one of your reports, somebody would ask about fats, oils, and greases data. and you supplied the data, and you showed the, who was over and under, and I'm not, real sure any of them ever got fixed, but apparently they did, because now there's no data shown anymore. Is there a reason you just don't show the data? I'd rather see good data too, and see, hey, our businesses are following the toe in the line.
It's a good question. No, there is data. For this one, I unfortunately couldn't, the data from the labs didn't arrive before this report was put together. I actually have data, so I will have data for you on the June report.
Okay, thank you. I had one more question that just came to mind. This is for Parks and Rec Director McGee. Question, Deanna. First of all, Gilbert Willis just super busy. Every time I'm up there, bikes, tennis, pickleball, disc golf. Can you remind me what's the plan for getting the back nine, so to speak, of the disc golf course completed?
Okay, the back nine, the first nine is finished, as you all know. The back nine is planned. It's on DPW's task list. We have determined the 5 holes to start with to judge how the trees, taking the trees out. There's not many trees, it's mostly brush. And so that's the next step, and then once that's done, evaluate and continue.
So we have all the equipment, like the baskets and the,
Yeah.
okay, everything's
It's all ready to
Just-
go.
okay.
We just, we're kind of confronting some DPW staffing issues.
And I know you already answered this question for me, but we're getting new signs as well
Yes,
with the
yes.
each tee box. to say-
We've already got them drafted, and we're just waiting for the finals, so if we move the holes, we print the signs once.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
Actually, Councilmember Sharp addressed
Okay.
the question.
Any other questions for the first departmental reports? All right, we'll move on to the quarterly budget and investment report for March 2022. Any questions? Getting off easy tonight, Marilyn. All right, that moves us to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are continued routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
All right, I got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no unfinished business tonight, which moves us to the first item under new business, which is a recommendation to confirm the mayor's reappointments of Robin Meister to the Cemetery Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2027, John O'Brien, Peggy Van Sickle, and Jeff Winters to the Parks and Rec Commission with terms to expire June 30th, 2025, Anthony Lawrence to the Planning Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, Roy Thorsel to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and appoint Lori Dorchak to the Cemetery Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2024, Jessica Buck to the Downtown Development Authority with a term to expire June 30th, 2026, and Mark Helsom to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and Joan Roberts to the Senior Citizens Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Again, this is part of the city charter. All members of the city boards and commissions shall be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by a majority vote of the city council. And I've asked this for this meeting for all those to be confirmed. Do we have anybody in the audience tonight who was one of, come on up and introduce yourselves to us, please.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Jessica Bach, and I'm a resident. I've been a resident since April of 2019 of downtown Wixom, and I'm going to be on the downtown Wixom board, and I'm very excited. And I've been helping out with the promotions committee and the 5K, the Derby. So I just want to continue to volunteer my time.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Mark Helson. I'm at 3154 Johanna Ware West. I just want to thank Mr. Mayor for the nomination for the zoning board of appeals as well as the council support. Looking forward to helping the community here. We really like living here. We've lived here since 2018. It's a wonderful city. Coming in from Rochester, going like to be more happier. Be on the western side of Oakland County. So thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to helping the council as well as the zoning board of appeals going forward. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words, and thank you for volunteering. Councilmember, or Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Maybe just a comment, thank both of you, right, for your volunteering. We still have 9 vacancies for boards and commissions, so if you've got any new neighbors that also love living here, there's still 9 openings in Parks and Rec, DDA, and a number of the boards and commissions, so please encourage your neighbors.
Thank you. All right. I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to confirm the mayor's reappointments of Robin Meister to the Cemetery Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2027, John O'Brien, Peggy Van Sickle, and Jeff Winters to the Parks and Rec Commission with terms to expire June 30th, 2025, Anthony Lawrence to the Planning Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, Roy Thorsel to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and appoint Lori Dorchuk to the Cemetery Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2024, Jessica Buck to the Downtown Development Authority with a term to expire June 30th, 2026, Mark Halsum to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and Joan Roberts to the Senior Citizens Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you again for stepping up and volunteering. New business number 2 is a recommendation to approve year-end budget amendments and requests for commitments of fund balance to comply with the Uniform Budget Act of 621 and Governmental Accounting Standards Board's pronouncement 54, and more accurately reflect fiscal year 2021-2022 revenues and expenditures. The motion?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Marilyn?
Sure. What I have before you this evening is a customary report that we present at the close to the end of each fiscal year to do final amendments to the existing budget before we close out the fiscal year. This is the last opportunity to do any amendments to that budget. This is just to keep us in compliance with government standards, which basically means departments cannot go over budget on any of their expenditure as a whole in their department. If you do, you end up being in trouble with the state and have to do lots of reporting and things after the fact. So we try to get ahead of it, amend those budgets accordingly before the end of the year. So I respectfully request your approval tonight.
Any questions? All right. Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve the year-end budget amendments and request for commitments of fund balance to comply with the Uniform Budget Act 621 and Governmental Accounting Standards Board pronouncement 54, and more accurately reflect fiscal year 2021-2022 revenues and expenditures. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 3 is a recommendation to approve the extension of a concrete replacement bid from KD Cement LLC of Commerce Township, Michigan for concrete sidewalk/road repair projects in amount not to exceed $300,000 and authorize the associated budget amendment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as Chad Zandler had indicated earlier today, that there are a number of local roads that are made of concrete that need repair, and we are looking at repairing some of them along Century Industrial Park and Oak Creek, which is a nearby park. There are a number of local roads that are made of concrete, and we're trying to get the worst of those right now by replacing sections approximately 3 feet wide by as long as the lengths of those cracks are. We've done a number of pothole patches in the past, and we want to replace it now with concrete. So this is a beginning program, if you will, just trying to do a few things without engineering and identifying them as a department and repairing them. The second part of this is to repair sidewalks. And you may recall earlier this year we did put out a bid for that, and KD Cement was the low bid. And we had talked to them a little bit more and said that they would be interested in progressing a little more throughout the next year to improve some of the sidewalks in neighborhoods. And pending the approval of a project plan with that, we'd like to utilize Katie Cement to repair sidewalks in our local neighborhoods. And by estimating the ones that are the worst ones to repair first, so we're working out the details on that piece. But this recommendation would be for the concrete for sidewalks and those road repairs that we're looking into. I'd be open for questions at this time.
Councilmember Berman.
Thank you. Tim, my only question is, I'm fine with us spending another $100,000 to repair our roads, and I'm fine with us spending $200,000 on our sidewalks. I wouldn't be fine with us spending $300,000 on our roads by taking $200,000 from our sidewalks.
Right.
And there doesn't seem to be anything in this proposed motion that would prevent that. You're just asking for an additional $300,000 to come from those two funds. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be spending $300,000 on the roads and leaving the sidewalks as is.
I appreciate that comment. If you notice, the account numbers are two account numbers. One is for Safety Pass and one is for local roads. And we would not be able to spend more than $200,000 on the sidewalks, and we won't be able to spend more than $100,000 on local roads.
I just wanted that clarification.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's the plan.
I'm fine with this.
At this point.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you. Now, on the sidewalk replacement, those panels, is your crew going to walk or bike or something and see it? Because
yes.
Boy, I hit one on Doozy going eastbound between like where the barn and the start of the Rose property is over there, and wow, was it a doozy.
There are a number of them yet. If you recall, this spring Katie Cement did an awful lot of them on our major roads, and we do want to do one more walk of our major roads to make sure that we've gotten all those, and then we go into the sidewalk program as we present. I'm hoping next.
I notice in the mornings when I use that to ride my bike to work, I see a lot of people coming from the apartments to use the library and community center, so that's quite used.
It is well used by. Thank you.
Councilmember Gutschall.
Thank you. Relating to the sidewalks, are we talking about sidewalks that the city would be responsible for within the neighborhoods, or sidewalks that homeowners would be responsible for?
Yes. So if you remember during council budget sessions, we talked about a neighborhood program.
Yep.
And this neighborhood program would be, the way we're recommending it is a 50-50 match. So we're trying to work out the details of that. So the homeowner would have to expend 50% of the cost of replacement of the sidewalks along their properties. And then the sidewalk and pathway program would participate on the other 50%. But we haven't
talking about doing individual paths as they need it, not us telling a homeowner we need to redo the entire sidewalk in front of their house.
Correct. We would only be repairing portions that need repair, and we'd go with the worst case ones first, was the intent on the policy. And that's really until we develop or finish developing that policy and bring it to council, we really we wouldn't be able to expend any funds on that.
That was kind of my next question, is we haven't had that discussion yet on the program, so there isn't anything written in here that says that this is approved pending that, or the work is pending council approval on the program. So, I mean, how is that handled? Because if we approve this, then you can go spend money as you please.
Yeah, we won't be spending the money until we get the program in place. Initially, there was a reference to the policy with the intent to include the policy with the package. I removed the policy reference because the policy wasn't ready for prime time yet, in terms of there was too much information that was missing from it, too many details that were missing from it. So that's the reason why it was pulled. I could have left it in there just as a subject to development type of thing, but we took it out just because it wasn't ready and I didn't want you to be questioning not having it available. So instead we referenced that we were going to prepare that policy in the body of the report, and we will not proceed with any sidewalk work on private property responsibility sidewalks until we get that policy drafted, completed to the point where we're happy with it, brought to council for approval.
Yeah, I know the comments in the report, but it's not in the motion, just to say pending future approval of the plan or whatever, because I think that's a substantial discussion, as well as if we're talking about the city now covering half the cost that a homeowner would typically pay, that eats into the safety path money that we would have for other stuff. So
that's the intent. If you want to re-add the line, something along the subject of that, we'd be fine and comfortable with that. It just was taken out because I didn't want to create the question of where's the policy.
I guess I would at this time make a motion to approve the recommendation pending council's approval of the future sidewalk plan.
So I got a motion and a second. Any comments, questions?
Don't see the
right.
need for the further clarification.
Could you reread the motion, please?
Your motion, you're going to do a motion to amend it, right?
Yep.
Is that
Yeah,
where we're at?
motion to amend to,
If I can butt in, right after we talk about sidewalks, let's see, computer's, I'm in the wrong spot here.
It just says, you would add it to that, where it says, and authorize the associated budget amendments pending city council's future approval.
With the I'd say with the sidewalk work
Okay.
being pending,
Of a neighborhood sidewalk.
neighborhood sidewalk work being pending
Yep.
approval of the policy, something akin to that.
Neighborhood sidewalk.
Council.
We do have some
Yep.
pathways that we still want to do with that, but we don't plan to.
Yeah,
to
anything
expend
that's our responsibility
Go for
is
it.
fine.
Okay.
But anything that wouldn't traditionally up to this point be, that's the concern until we work out what we want to do.
So how about this, with neighborhood sidewalk work being subject to the development and approval by council of the neighborhood sidewalk, whatever you want to refer to the policy as. Tim, what's your?
Sidewalk policy?
The neighborhood sidewalk policy? Okay. So with the neighborhood sidewalk work being subject to the development and approval of the associated policy. How's that sound? Just so we have something to talk about.
Sounds great.
all right. I'll go down to Councilmember Grillen Fox first, and I'll come back to you.
I'm all set.
Oh, okay. Okay. Councilmember Berman. I'll come down here.
I guess I'm not sure why we need the amendment. If Tim just explained that it's going to come from that budgeted line item, it can only be spent on our safety paths as it is right now. And right now, we don't spend anything on the neighborhood sidewalks because we don't have a policy to allow it. So I guess we're kind of making a motion to limit something we already can't do. I'm fine with the motion as proposed. I don't see the amendment being necessary.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Tim, regarding the responsibilities, you said the concrete roads. What about I don't even know what they're called. I mean, I know what gutters are, but it's kind of an apron. When you're going to the CVS on Wixom Road, it's like a minefield turning off of Wixom Road into CVS because the concrete is so deteriorated. I mean, there's major potholes. You got to be sure you know exactly where you're going. Who is responsible for that concrete?
So it's Road Commission of Oakland County.
It is Oakland County.
And if they need it repaired prior to, without, pothole patch, if you will, the plaza could do that as well as a repair. And we have talked with them about that, so.
Good to know. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have to vote on the amendment, or is that just part of the? Okay.
On the amendment.
Okay, so it would just be a I've got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment pending city council approval of neighborhood sidewalk policy. Is that fair?
Close enough, we'll get it right.
Yeah.
All right.
You get the gist.
So we're voting on the amendment first,
Yeah.
and then the original
Yeah.
motion after?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this is on the amendment.
They'll clean it up in post-production.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Councilmember Grundon Fox,
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Mayor Beagle,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Behrman,
No.
Councilmember Gotchall.
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no.
All right. Any further discussion on the new business number 3? All right, with that, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve the extension of a concrete replacement bid from KD Cement LLC of Commerce Township, Michigan for concrete sidewalk/road repair projects in the amount not to exceed $300,000 and authorize the associated budget amendment pending city council approval of neighborhood sidewalk policy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Don't go too far. New business number 4 is a recommendation to authorize participation in the Sourcewell solicitation RFP number 090320 and accept the 3-year contract from Brightly Software Incorporated of Cary, North Carolina for a work order system with funding derived from City Computer DPW capital account numbered 411-441-975.390 fiscal year 2022-2023 and computer software account number 101-441-728.391 fiscal year 2023-2024 and fiscal year 2024-2025 for a 3-year total cost of $59,065.61 and authorize the Department of Public Works Director to sign the agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
You're on again, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, over the last few years, we've had difficulty making sure, we've talked about things being on the list, and keeping track of them has become difficult. And one way to do, to make sure that the tasks are in order and we respond accordingly is to manage that through a database system. And we've gone through looking at several different databases and computer maintenance management type systems, and we found that this one from Brightly is simple to use. We feel that our guys would be able to utilize it, pick up on the system quickly, and we feel that it's going to be easy to manage. And gone through a few different meetings with them, and we're comfortable in trying the system out. We'd like to do that over the next 3 years, just to see how things are with that. One of the key things that we had been using is tree maintenance for, as you may know, the trees in between sidewalks and roads are street trees, and sometimes when they get diseased, we trim them. Other times we have to remove them, and then part of the removal is to cut the tree down. The next then go through and grind the stump and then plant in either the fall or the spring. And keeping track of which ones are where and making sure that it happens has been difficult. We've been tracking it on spreadsheets, and we think that this one will just give us emails and different things to help us manage that system. There's another one that we'll be utilizing for potholes, which I think folks would like to see in the community, and we can manage that a little better and kind of start looking at where the worst ones are and maybe help us with our, not necessarily our PASER studies, but notice where our traffic is just by the number of complaints that we receive. So those are 2 examples of what we plan to use this maintenance management system for, and with that, I'd be open to questions.
Once we get used to the system and stuff like that, you're gonna let the citizens know and do like a little tutorial for them so they know that they can just go online and
Yep.
and do this and
Yeah.
and then will it give it an automatic response back, or will somebody have to read it and then
We'll have
say, well, you know, we've got your complaint? And
We'll have a link with it, and we should be able to have an automatic response, I believe, with it.
very good, thank you. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hello, Mr. Sigma. I think you were telling me about this a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, you made it sound like a resident could, with their phone, be right on the spot, kind of, report right exactly where the pothole is or the tree branch or what have you. Is that?
Yes,
that's this system.
That's the anticipation.
So,
yes.
do they have to get it up our website, or is there an app by chance?
There will be an app with that
Oh,
that
excellent. Okay.
that has that capability for us.
Well, that'll help with
That's our goal.
usage. People will use it, more likely, and it probably makes it a little easier to use. So, oh, great. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Just one quick question. Will it tie into the GIS subsystem?
That's a very good question. That is our goal. We're going through interviews for a GIS manager, and that's one of the questions that I've been bringing up with them. So
Just like our
that's
sewer.
the goal.
It'd be nice to know where all those trees are.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Sickman, I love this idea, although opening a Pandora's box potentially by residents, because then they'll want to know when you're going to act on all those things. So challenge there. But does Oakland County have one? Because I got to report those potholes at CVS.
They actually do.
They
have
do?
one. Yeah.
Good luck getting the refund.
Thank you.
Councilmember Garland Fox.
Along the lines of Councilmember Sharp's question, will it then generate that the ticket is closed or the problem is closed and send an email or something to the resident that sent in the...
That is a good question. That's one I did not ask. One thing that we thought of, because we'll have multiple potholes along a road, and let's say it's Maple Road because that's the next one we're fixing. But we'll be able to, when the guys go through to fill them, they will be able to, it'll recognize where they are as they're progressing through. So they'll be able to take that stretch of road and say, yes, these are closed. And so at that point, yes, I'll work on that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
It would be a nice feature. If
It would be great.
it's possible, yeah.
Yes.
It would save time for your staff too.
Absolutely.
Phone calls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Hearing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to authorize participation in the Sourcewell solicitation RFP number 090320 and accept the 3-year contract from Brightly Software Incorporated of Cary, North Carolina for a work order system with funding derived from City Computer DPW capital account number 411-441-975.390 from the fiscal year 2022-2023 and computer software account number 101-441-728.391 fiscal year number 2023-24 and 24-25 and for a 3-year contract cost of $59,065.61 and authorize the Department of Public Works Director to sign the agreement. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the business end of our meeting tonight. We'll move on to the second call to the public. Again, I'll read those rules. The public shall address the council during call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the second call to the public?
Russ Meredith, I live at 378 Fletcher. I just want to thank Tim, the DPW guys, for the job they did on the airline trail, at least between Wixom Road and Center Boulevard. I haven't gone the rest of it, but that part, everything's knocked down. It couldn't have been a nicer job. I was out there yesterday, and you could barely get 2 bikes past some areas, but it's really nice done, so thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close the second call to the public. Move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown?
Thank you, Your Honor. Only in the city manager update, we had information on city employees celebrating their years of service in the month of July, and we've got years of service ranging from 3 years on up to 26 years by Louis McKeag in the police department. So Marilyn Stamper, our own, sitting at the table here with us, has 25 years at the city. On July 14th.
Yeah, but that's
We'll see if she's going to pop her cake.
That's just days. She's got a lot more than 25 years here, so. Is that it?
That is it, sir.
All right. Assistant City Manager Drew Brunson, do you have anything?
I do not. I think my report covers most of it.
All right, very good. With that, I'll move on to council comments. Councilmember Gacho.
Thank you. I wanted to share my condolences with Officer Sherbarth and his family for their recent loss, as well as to the family of Kay Ash, who were just thanking her at the last meeting for her years of service, and then got the surprise news that she had passed. So that's unfortunate. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I too want to pass on my condolences. Last meeting we were just thanking, Ms. Ash, and and now we've lost her. It's very sad. I also wanted to, it's a lighter thing, of course, but apologize to to the mayor and to the rest of the board that I grabbed my son's jacket when I left the house today, and that don't fit me. He's 16. I wish it did. So that's why I don't have a jacket on. Pardon me. Other than that, just everyone please have a safe and happy Independence Day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Berman.
Thank you. Also offer my condolences to both families. Big thank you to all of the staff for the Light the Night fireworks event and concert. Seemed really well attended and really nicely organized. One thing I have noticed at the concerts the last couple of weeks is there have not been enough trash cans around, and at the end of the night there's just trash over, like, around all the garbage cans downtown. It was nice that we had a lot of temporary trash cans at the fireworks event, but perhaps one or two at the concerts going forward would be helpful, just so people aren't throwing their trash on the ground. And then lastly, Deputy Mayor Resnick pointed out earlier some of the code enforcement that probably needs to happen along Wixom Road. I really was taking note of the amount of landscaping in our site plans that was approved and has since died. The Culvers, the Spring Hill Suites, the Menards outlots have several trees down, and then the new Assembly Logistics Park. I mean, they probably have 50 or 60 dead bushes already that they just planted. So I don't know if maybe Mr. Pike or someone needs to spend some time going through and looking at some of these landscape plans, because there's just a lot of things that were put in nicely in the beginning, but it's just unfortunately not being maintained.
Duly noted. That's a conversation we can have and look to actually put in code enforcements to more closely investigate them.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the volunteers for the city's boards and commissions and nominations for the mayor, and especially a shout out to Mr. Halston and Ms. Buck for actually coming to the meeting tonight. That's really impressive that you take your time. So looking forward to working with you over the next few years. Thank you.
Councilmember Garland Fox.
I would like to congratulate and say thank you to all those employees celebrating work anniversaries. I would also like to pass along my condolences to the Sherbrooke and Ash family. And I too would like to thank those residents that volunteered to sit on the various boards and commissions. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't be able to get most of what we do done, so thank you. Then lastly, after much introspection, I'd like to share my thoughts, deep disappointment, frustration, fear and even anger in the recent Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. While I am not saying that I am pro-abortion, I am not. I am wholeheartedly opposed to stripping women's rights. This decision strips their rights, and I do not believe that government at any level, federal, state, local, should be allowed to control a woman's reproductive rights. This is a slippery slope, and one which the government has no business, in my opinion, to be on. Some say that government is too involved in people's individual and personal rights and freedoms, and this is an extreme and major setback. What's next? Let me say again, I do not believe the government should be making laws that only affect one segment of the population, in this case, women. I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would also like to offer my heartfelt condolences to the family of Kay Ash and Officer Sherbarth. Regarding code enforcement, I had that on my list as well. One of the other ones, I was listening to Councilman Behrman's list, and Roboport, I noticed that prematurely they put in all that beautiful landscaping without any irrigation, and I would say 50% of it's dead as of today. It's quite an eyesore if you're coming down Wixom Road. I would think that since we've talked about this in the last maybe 5 or 6 meetings, is that part of the departmental reports, that we actually get a report back from Mr. Pike on the code enforcement activities that he's actually done. I don't think we've ever seen it. He'll just say various code enforcement visits, right? But where? Where is he going? What's he looking at? If we all notice it as a board up here, just driving to and from work, then there are some issues there. So I think it would be good to consider adding that maybe in more detail to the departmental reports. Did you want to?
I do. I have one, I guess, question related to adding code enforcement. That's something we can certainly do. We have that data and it can easily be populated. The only concern I have about more detail is how we do that. If we put, as an example, specific addresses in or things like that, that may not be ideal to have in a public document who code enforcements were issued against. We could perhaps look at, on specific streets and subtract out like addresses. We might be able to do that, but I just want to put out my apprehension about that.
I think a number of us have made a comment that we're paying for that service and we don't feel like we're getting it necessarily from Safe Build. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if it's generic, if it's, anonymized or whatever, I'm fine with it. But we went down Wixom Road and talked to 7 businesses or whatever. And then Light the Night, great event, Deanna, team, Tim and team. I got so many positive comments from even some of the new business owners. And I told them that, I said, that is going to be the most populated event downtown. And of course, Hot Blues Barbecue will also be a good one, but don't expect every Thursday to be like that with that many people. So great job. And I was wondering for next meeting, can we get an update on what's going on with, I think it's Cambridge Estates, the development that seems to be stalled somewhat behind the Anthem. I can't remember which one comes first, Milana Estates? Or?
It's between Milana and Robinson.
Yeah, okay, that's the one. It seems to be stalled, and just curious as to what's going on there, because we watched, the various Robinson developments. I mean, no sooner was a unit finished, it was already occupied, when it's sold and occupied. Are there some issues there? Just, as we come into an era of higher interest rates, I'm worried that things are going to stall out there.
Yeah, and that particular subdivision has been interesting because then on the other side, there's a subdivision that's also going in and they're moving much more quickly.
Yeah.
Based on some, I would say, developers are not necessarily inclined to always tell us what their financial position might be or how they choose to go about building and selling homes. As an example, some will build them and then sell them. Others wait till somebody buys the lot, and agrees to build. They do custom builds. So that's often a scenario that can slow them down. So between those two factors, that's what we figure is going on over there. Something between developer financing and how they're going about selling the lots. We can do a little bit more digging, and I can
Make
try
sure
to.
we don't get stuck with dug basements and then no fencing around it, become a safety issue.
Well, and as in other cases that, and that does happen from time to time, we do have remediation steps of basically, you can't leave an unsafe space for an extended period of time. What that threshold is probably is a good part of the discussion that you're looking for. So we can reach out to the developer and have that conversation.
Thank you.
Very good. Yep. And I also would like to wish my condolences to the Sherworth family and the Ash families on their loss. Congratulations on to all the City of Wixom employees for their work anniversaries. Yeah, like tonight, Deanna, was a great event, well attended, and you guys always do a great job. And everybody have a happy and safe 4th. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everybody. Thank you.